Hi, so I decided that I will try to do something new, and by something new I mean I am going to try to do my first coding tutorial, and I think this is something that a lot of people might be interested in. So I am going to do a tutorial on how do you code your own custom summon effects in Morrowind. This tutorial will be assuming that you are not experienced with MWscript and you probably do not know much about Morrowind's modding. I assume that people that have the experience do already know how to do this, so excuse me if the tutorial will be going over a lot of the basics. So let's start by enabling only our master files, so Morrowind Blood Moon Tribunal. This is everything we need. We do not need any other things enabled for this because we want it to be as compatible as it can be. So first we need to go to the gameplay and magic effects. This is because every magic effect in Morrowind is hard-coded. So you cannot create a new magic effect if you wanted to. We are reliant on pre-existing spells that Bethesda has already created. Now, of course, keep in mind that if you use those two effects for your mod, then if you download another mod that also uses those effects, there will be conflict, they will not be compatible with each other. However, I am assuming that you are watching this video because you are making a mod for yourself. Of course, you feel free to upload it online if you want, but I'm assuming that you are making the mod for yourself and you do not need to worry about the fact that another user has also created a summon effects on the same area. So, how do we start creating our own effect? Let's look how the normal summons are created. So the school is Conjuration, we have the Conjuration Flare, summon Atronak icon. You can create your own icon if you need to, if you want to, but it is not necessary. So let's start with School Conjuration. Let's also copy the base cost of the Ancestral Ghost. I'm not quite sure what we'll create just yet. Let's say that Dwarven Spectre. So let's keep the base cost. Of course, you can adjust the base cost to what you think is necessary. Now, the way I am going to do Creature 4, it will be a single summon that is the same creature every time it is used. So we are able to... so we can enable spellmaking and enchanting for this creature. Now for the particle texture, we will copy what the other spells do, so we will use VFX Conjuration Flare 02. Now you may not have this in your data files textures folder. I am using files that come from the original CD. Attached with the game, there was the construction set CD, which had some of the assets unpacked from the BSA, and if you do not have the CD or access to it, you will need to unpack your own BSA. If you type in BSA unpacker into Google, you will find a program that can do this for you. Now this is pretty important. The file needs to come from data files and textures. While the particle texture can work with another effect, if we use the TGA file for the icon from a location other than data files of your Morrowind installation, it will not work at all. Now I need to check what is used. Textures. So we will need to go to icons, data files, icons, as for spells. And we can use any of those icons. You can create your own if you want to, but it is already impossible to tell what the effect is supposed to represent, so might as well use any of the existing icons. Now, description. This part is only relevant if you create a spell with spellmaking and or enchanting. So this description is being shown to you when you create a spell. Anywhere else it does not show. So let's say that we create a Dwemer Spectre, right? So I'm just copying the pre-existing effect. You of course can create something or something better. I'm just using this as a quick example of how this looks. Now we need to set the sounds. As you can see, conjuration cast, conjuration bolt, so this is to find. It will be pretty loud. You need to get used to this. These sounds play at 100% volume as soon as you click on anything here, so and you have to double click. Select it. Alteration, bolt, conjuration heat, conjuration area. Though you do not actually need to set the conjuration area because this spell cannot be used on area. Conjure cast, effects, cure heat, corpus, conjure cast. Okay. Default bolt, default. Okay, so now we copy the lightning effect, so 244. Let's also keep the size cap the same, 223, and I believe 185. Yeah, so from this we have a new magic effect created. So we save this much. However, there is no hard-coded effect to this. So even though the effect is created, it will show up in game, it doesn't currently do anything. It also is named the summon creature form, which we do want to also change. So let's go to gameplay, settings, magic. Again, this one is going to be creating the same creature every time, so we can go and name it summon Glimmer Spectre. Now that we have the effect created and named, we can go to Spellmaking and create our new spell. For the time being, this is just a dummy spell. Actually, let me make this even easier for the sake of testing in a moment, but let us go and scroll down through effects. You will see, because we renamed the effect, there is only 4 S effect summon creatures here, because our renamed effect went down here. So let's create a spell effect that has a 30-second duration for the stat. You can put this as any number, but we are not doing the balancing of the spell yet. So I will do the spell cost of 0 and always succeed, again for the sake of testing. Let's save this spell, let's save our mod, for the time being summoning creatures. Okay. Now in my launcher I have enabled the SNP summoning. I disabled the previous version of this mod that I was doing for myself before the tutorial. So let's load the game. It will show me the warning because I have removed the previous version, so this is warning that you will not see. And we will add spell to the player summon test, just as we named the spell. So now we have the summon test over here. As you can see, summon Dwemer Spectre, spell test. We can cast it. It takes 0 magicka, it always works as we set it. It shows up over here, summon Dwemer Spectre, coming from spell test. But as you can see, it doesn't do anything else, it just looks like a conjuration spell. But the important part is that we do see this spell effect working over here. Also, I have no idea why the icon here is missing. I think this may be related to an OpenMW bug, so I do not think this is something that we can fix at the moment. Okay, so now that we have the effect working in-game, we need to reach for scripting. To create a summon, we will need to do two things. First, we need to do a global script that will be checking the whole time if we have this effect on or not. So let's begin summon 04, and we can already write and summon 04. If you are not familiar with MWscript, there is an amazing guide, Morrowind scripting for dummies, which I do absolutely recommend. It is the most well-written documentation of any programming language I have ever seen. If you ever need anything, if you are not sure what is happening, you can cross-check with this here, and 99% of the times you will find your answers. Going back. This is going to be a global script as mentioned before, so I will put a comment here. This is a global script constantly checking if the player status of having summoned has changed. I use the semicolon over here. This means this is a comment, this is not read by the game, this is just for the sake of myself and everyone else reading this. And yes, as I said, this is going to be a global script that checks if we change the status of our summoning. So we will add a variable, a short. Short means this is going to be something using a limited amount of numbers. In our case, we are only using 0 and 1, but Boolean is not a thing in Morrowind scripting, so we are using short for this. And I will name this variable previous state. It can be named anything you want. But I believe it is important that the names of the variables you use are easy to understand when you read this script. Now, according to the Scripting for Dummies guide, if we need to check the effect on the player, we need to go if player, make sure there is a space between the insides and the parentheses. If player arrow get effect, comma, and now we name the effect, which we know is S effect summon creature 04 equals. In programming for equals we need to do double equal signs, because one equal signs is usually set. In MWscript it is not set, but we still need to do double. Please make sure that you follow this exactly, because MWscript is very fragile. So if you, for example, forget this space here, it has a chance of breaking. If you do not do the comma, it will break, etc. So we need to be very careful with this. Now first I am checking if the player has no effect on him. And now if the player has no effect on him, we will be checking again if previous state was 1. Also make sure you use tab to indent, because MWscript uses indents just like GDScript to know what is inside of an if. Set previous state to 0. So if currently we do not have an effect on us and our previous state was 1, sorry, I'll add the comment to make it clear what it means. So 0 equals not currently summoning anything, 1 equals currently summoning. Again, you can use anything else you want, any other numbers. It just makes sense for me from a coding perspective to make 0 means not an effect and 1 means the effect is currently active. So we are checking if the player has effect on them, and we are checking if they previously had an effect on them. If they had the effect on them and they do not have it right now, then we will set the previous state to 0. And we can do a message box as a debug message. State changed, no longer summoning. Then we do else if previous state was 0. So if the current effect is 0, the previous state was 0, then nothing changed. We do not need to do anything. So let's add the comment here. Player did not have an effect, still has no effect. No need to do anything. Then we can end if and else if. So now that we checked all of the things that happened when the effect was 0, now we need to check if the effect is currently 1. So again, we use the same phrase, player get effect summon creature 0/4, but this time we are checking if it is true. If previous state was 1, add comment, last state was 1, it is currently 1, no need to do anything. Else if, almost forgot the space there, previous state was 0. In this case we change the status and we want to do set previous state to 1, and again let's add a message box here to inform us that state changed, now summoning. So the effect is currently on the player, and previously it was not on the player, so now we have the effect we are now summoning. So at this point we would already be summoning our creature, but we do not have the creature created yet. So let us for the time being test if this works at all. So let's end if, let's save the script, let's save the game. You need to save both of them. Now, because this is very easy to forget, we need to go to gameplay, gameplay settings, no, we need to go to gameplay, edit start scripts, and let's add our summon 0/4 global script so that it is being detected by the game. Because if you forget about this step, the game will simply not detect it. Let me go back to our testing script, summon test. So let me change the duration for 5 seconds for the sake of quicker demonstration. Let's go open MW. I don't think I saved the script. Okay, open MW. This of course works with every version of Morrowind because we are doing it with the MWscript. So now we add our summon test spell, and if everything should work correctly, yeah, it is now state summoning, and when the effect times out, state changed, no longer summoning. So our script perfectly is able to tell when it happens. If we cast again, we prolong the spell. As you can see, the variable length of the spell works perfectly fine. This is why we are able to enable the spellmaking and enchanting for our spells. Okay, so now that we have the effect created, we need to create a creature for us to summon. So since we decided on the Dwemer Spectrum, let's get the Dwarven Spectrum and add summon at the end here. Let's save it and make sure to create the new object. We do not want to change the old entity. I do, however, like it to... So if you press no, then you change the existing entity. If you press yes, then you create a new record. So we do want the new record, and I changed it again. And in this case, I wanted to change this one. So this is our summon spectre. One more thing we need to do is go to the AI and change its height value to 50, because we do not want it to immediately attack the player as soon as it's spawned. We save it, and we will need to add another script to this Dwarven Spectre. But first, let me also go to Gameplay, Globals, and create a new global variable. So this variable will be able to be detected from any script that looks for it. And what do we name this? Let's say summon 04 active. Okay, let's go back to our summon 04 script. Since the message boxes proved that our script is working, we no longer need them. We can comment them out or remove them. So at this point that we know that we have the effect, and we didn't have the effect previously, this is the place where we want to summon our new spectre. So we go we got place at PC, which is a built-in function that you will find in the Scripting for Dummies guide. And then we go Dwarven Ghost Summon, so the exact ID that we have here. This can be any creature that you want. This can even be a leveled creature, so you can do very fun stuff with this. And we need to give the parameters. So we have 1, this is for one spectre, 64 for 64 units of distance, and 0 meaning in front of the player. Again, this is from the Scripting for Dummies, so if you look at the guide, you will know why we need to add these additional numbers at the end. And then we do set summon 04 active to 1. So now we have this global script which detects if the state changed. Only in this case it will add the summon, and because it changes the state immediately invalidating the if, it will not summon it again until the state change. So for our global script, this is all that we need to do. So let us create a new script for our Dwarven Spectre. So begin dwarf summon script. Let's already put the end dwarf summon script so we do not forget about this later. There is going to be a few variables that we need to add. And I will start with them from the top. So we will do short do once. Again, you can name variables anything you want, but this is a naming convention used by the game developers when we only need to do something one time. So when our Dwarven Spectre is summoned, we will be checking if do once is equal to 0, meaning we have not done anything yet. We defined it and it is currently 0, so this is true. We will assign AI follow, comma, player, comma, 0, 0, 0. 0, this just means that it will follow the player forever. As long as it is alive, it will never time out, it will never stop following the player. And now we do set do once to 1 and if. So yeah, this is the only thing that we only want to assign the AI follow to player one time, because otherwise the summon will not behave as intended. Now there is another thing we want to do. We want to check if the HP of the summon is below 0 or exactly below or equal to 0. We will also add another do once, but this time I will name it remove once. So if the health is below 0, if remove once is equal 0, then we remove the effect from the player. Player remove effects 141. Now 141 is hard-coded, so every time you use the summon 04 script, it needs to be removed using the 141 effects. It cannot be changed, you cannot do anything about this. This is hard-coded by Bethesda. Effect 0405 is 142. This information is not actually found in Scripting for Dummies. I had to test for it myself because the author of the Scripting for Dummies didn't think it was important to check for those not used spell effects. Set remove once to 1. So we do not want to remove the effect from the player more than 1 frame. Okay, so this is already looking nice, but of course there is still a problem that our summon does not time out. So it will exist forever, and the timed summon should of course be timed. So we will add a timer. Timer must be a float. So again, we are creating a variable. It can be named anything you want, but timer makes sense, and it must be a float because it is keeping track of time. So short is only using integers. It can only be 0, 1, 2, 3, etc, etc, until I think, it doesn't matter until what number. But float is necessary for timer. If you define timer as a short, the script will not work. So we will do set timer to timer plus get seconds passed. This is not in any if, this happens all of the time. And because of the timer, we do two things. If menu mode is 1, return. This is something that Bethesda employees always include when timer is at play. This is supposedly important to not increase the timer when the player is in menu, so we do the same thing. Another thing that we'll add now that we have a timer is if get disabled is equal to 1, we also will return, and again we end if. So this ensures that the timer will not run for this entity if the entity is disabled or if the menu is currently open and the time is paused for any reason. I also should probably explain that this is a local script that will be attached to our Dwarven Spectre. I will attach it right now, so Dwarf Summon script. If you do not see this, it's probably because you need to save this and open it again, so it will appear after. Assuming your script is saved and you have closed the creature tab, it will appear there. And because it is a local script, we do not need to do the same thing as we did here, where we did player get effect, because we need to specify that the target of the script is player. But here, for example, when we do AR follow, we do not specify that who is activating the AR follow, because this is a local script attached to the Spectre, so the Spectre knows that it is the one who is supposed to follow. Now, another thing that we need to do to emulate the vanilla behavior is to check if the if we are no longer summoned. And for this we need to use the summon active, which I just noticed that I forgot to add here. So if the state change, right, so set summon 0 for active to 0 in our global script. This is important. This needs to be done. I will remove the commented out message boxes to make the script a bit cleaner. So now we will check if let's actually do this above get healthy. It only does matter a little bit if it's above or below, but it is a bit cleaner if we do it above. It will do find this one cycle sooner. So now we check if summon 0 for active is equal to 0, which we know it will only become 0 if the player lost the effect, which does mean that it will sync up with our in-game timer. So to remove our ghost after the in-game effect expires, we just set health to 0. And if set health is a script function provided by Bethesda, so we just go set health and the value you want to add. Now, this is another thing. Our ghost now dies, but the body remains. So we will need to add another float time of death. Under our timer, it needs to be float again because it will track the time. And to our remove effects, to our get health 0, so when we detect that the ghost died for any reason at all, we will set time of death to timer. So we are setting one variable to another variable. In this case, we set the value of time of death to whatever the value of timer was in this exact moment, and since we do this in remove once, it will only save this timer once. Now let's add one more thing. If timer is bigger or equal to time of death plus 5. So if timer is exceeds 5 seconds from the moment that the monster died, we can now disable our monster. And if, however, this is a bug. There is a bug here because I forgot to do if time of death is not equal to 0. This is important because otherwise the summon would always get disabled after 5 seconds. After 5 seconds of living, because time of death is 0 at the start, so after 5 seconds timer is 5 seconds bigger. So till we have everything needed now. We do not process when disabled, we do not process in menu mode, we have timer which accumulates the time, we follow the player after being created, we check if the spell expired and set our HP to 0 if it did. If our HP is 0 or below, we remove the effect from the player if it was still on them, because for example we died to damage and not to timer. We set time of death to timer. I will move this one under, though it doesn't matter in this case, but just for my own enjoyment and clarity. Okay, I believe that we should have everything. Make sure that the summon script is attached to your monster. Okay, so let us try if everything is working as intended. Open Morrowind. Load the game. Let's add our summon spell. Okay, it expires, it dies. As in vanilla, you can open this corpse, but after 5 seconds it disappears. Let me also, player, add this NPC in the game, 64.0.
Greetings to you,
Okay, so now we can use the spellmaking, and we can create a spell, for example, for 20 seconds. Alright, so 20 seconds. Okay, let's also add one for 1 second. 1 second. So now player configuration. So as you can see, the 1 second spectre dies after 1 second. This is the spell that the player created. The 20 second spectre is hanging longer, and again you can add time to this by casting spell again. So even if I have currently the 20 second spectre and the 1 second spectre, this time stacks. Eventually he will expire when the 20 second spell ends. And yeah, this is perfectly emulating the way the game works. So you can grab the body, it will disappear after 5 seconds. The only thing that we are missing is the effect. There is this little yellow tornado. It is not possible to create this effect using MWscript, unfortunately, as far as I know. Now, for the sake of brevity, because this video already got pretty long, I intended to also show you how to do dynamic summons in this video, but I think it will be better to do it in a separate video. Also, if you are watching this in the future, I will most likely have a linked in the comment section or in the description of the video link to my website where you will find this tutorial and all of the other tutorials in text format, so they will be a lot simpler to use. They will also have the host text of my script, so they are ready to copy. Yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you learned something. Let me know if this format of the video is good for you, because I went from an assumption that the viewer doesn't have much experience and I wanted to show you everything more or less step by step, while at the same time I am aware that I didn't really explain enough about the code. Because I was relying on the scripting for dummies, which is something that you also will be checking when coding. I wanted to break down the logic of why we are doing certain things instead of why we are using the exact words, because the words you can check in the scripting for dummies, while the whole thing is to discover how to achieve the effect you wanted. So please do let me know if this video helped you out, if you want me to keep the future videos shorter, if you want me to change anything about the way I do it, if I get the feedback in time before posting the next part. Of course I will implement that feedback for the next video, and if not, then I am sure that we'll find some other videos. I do think that the MWscript has a lot of potential, that you can show very cool stuff with it. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought, and I hope that you are now able to create the summons that you wanted.